Hey everybody, Andy here with Mossy Creek Fly Fishing. Today is Monday, March 6th, and I'm bringing you the fishing forecast for this week. We've had really great reports coming into this week, but it does look like we're going to have a swing of temperatures again in classic Virginia fashion. We're going to get cold again, right as we all thought we were starting to get into our nice, consistent spring weather. So our daytime temps this week are not going to be bad. They're going to be kind of mid-50s, but towards the latter half of the week, we're going to start getting even a little colder than that, into the 40s. And then our nighttime lows, we're going to be getting down close to the 20s, and up in our mountains and stuff, I'm sure we're going to be into the 20s. So we're very likely going to see some of this warmer water temps that have started to come about kind of plummet back down a little bit and sort of reset stuff back into that late winter mode that it was in. But we are starting to see bugs. They will likely still continue to move around a little bit through this week. So when we look at our mountain streams, there's been a lot of really good dry fly reports coming out of the Shenandoah National Park area. Lots of quill gordons and caddis. Folks were catching a lot of fish on dry flies. And so as we go into this week, if you get out and it's a little bit colder, you know, the mornings may be a bit slower than they have been. Expect to see your better fishing as we move through the day and get into the warmer periods of the day. And, you know, you can expect to still see some bugs, but we're probably not going to see quite as big a hatches when the water temps are cooling back down. Those bugs are really looking for kind of water temp and then the amount of day to tell them when to hatch. And so again, as those water temps fall, they'll likely slow down a little bit, but the fish are starting to look up. So I would still expect you can find fish to eat dry flies. So if you're heading out to your mountain streams, I would look for your dry dropper patterns, very likely to start the day. And you could try like a quill gordon or a caddis if you wanted to sort of match your hatch. But a lot of folks are doing well still with your classic brook trout patterns, things like your parachute Adams, your stimulators, your Mr. Rapidans, your various attractor patterns on top. And then for your nymphs, same kind of deal there. We're going to do attractor patterns primarily. Hothead pheasant tail is a great pattern. Psycho prints is one of our shop favorites here. You could do standard prints nymphs, standard pheasant tail, standard hare's ear. The caddis pupa would be a great thing to try as well, especially again if you want to kind of mimic the naturals. But a lot of the times up there we don't need to. We can kind of go for our attractors and do well. As far as water levels go, they're in good shape. We've had just enough rain throughout this February into March to keep our water levels good. Had a few days here and there where things are a little bit high, but for the most part, we've stayed right around average flow, and the fishing has been good as a result of that. So water temps are going to drop a little bit. Water flows are good. Still is going to be worth getting out and trying some of your dry fly, dry dropper setups up there in the mountains. Now, when we come down into the valley, our spring creeks are also starting to come to life. This morning, we had folks out on Mossy who are having caddis come off. They're catching fish on dry flies, and we expect very similar situation to happen on the spring creeks where we do have bug activity, but as we cool down a little bit this week, it'll likely slow down a little bit, but it's not going to come to a halt. So keep an eye out for bugs, but I'd say on your spring creeks, plan on nymph fishing, plan on streamer fishing like we have been, and then keep your eye out for those dry flies. You kind of want to look for caddis primarily, but blue-winged olives and midges are also going to be options on the surface when we're out there on those spring creeks. And then on our bigger rivers, let's talk about like our delayed harvest waters and some of our other special regs and catch and release stuff. We're seeing similar bugs. Caddis are going to be one of our earliest dominant hatches that we see. And so we've had great reports from like the South River with caddis coming off, fish jumping out of the air after them, and lots of good dry fly fishing throughout last week. So we'll kind of expect to see those bugs continue, but again, slow down just slightly. And so our delayed harvest waters, look for those same things, but I'd say looking more at your nymphs and your streamers for right now until we get into a more consistent warm weather period, and then we'll start to see a lot more of that consistent bug activity. And consistency is kind of key when we're out there. Those trout love to have the consistent day after day hatches to really start focusing on your surface activity. So we're getting close to that, but we're still not quite there. The Jackson tailwater I looked at today. It's a little bit high right now. Keep an eye on releases if you like going down there. Water temps are a bit cooler. As of this morning, they were coming out of the dam at about 45 degrees. And that will generally warm up a little bit as you get downstream this time of year, but it's probably going to be fairly similar right now, again, until we get into more warmer weather. But the trout fishing really has been good all around, so get out and fish while we're in this kind of transition period and enjoy some of this early bug activity that we're having. Now, when we look at our smallmouth stuff, Shenandoah River got a shot of rain 2 days ago, and it bumped up, not very high, starting to come back down. We had folks out yesterday catching fish. Smallmouth fishing had been really good. We were really starting to improve. And when I say smallmouth fishing's been good, it's good for this time of year. So we don't have fish spread out everywhere. We're not catching them in every little nook and cranny of the river, but we're finding fish nearby their wintering holes. And on those warmer days when the water temps start to warm up, those fish are going to be a little bit more active and looking to eat. So you can get out and catch some nicer fish, but it's definitely still slow compared to what you would find come summertime. And we'll be looking for those fish here, in close to a month or so, starting to move out of their winter holes and more into those pre-spawn areas. But for right now, they're still definitely going to be located in and around those dominant winter holes. And then musky fishing has been good. Our water temps were starting to reach the point where they would start looking to spawn, but that cold weather is probably going to bring those back down, so we'll still have a few more weeks of that before they look to go spawn. And so if you want to get out on a muskie, do it now before they spawn. We'll leave them alone through generally the month of April and then get back to that once we get through that spawn and fish them until we get a little bit too warm. So looks like a good week. Going to be a little bit cold in the morning, so get out and enjoy it. And again, we'll wait for a little bit more consistent warm weather to start seeing more consistent bugs. But the fishing is definitely going to be worthwhile still for the time being. So thanks for watching. We'll update you all a little bit later this week if we have any condition changes. And hope you all get out and enjoy it. Thanks.